Good morning, everyone. Thank God for all of you who are with us today in our session. We got several people with us on our conference line. We have a few people in the sanctuary with us today, and we have several people with us on Facebook. We also having some technical difficulties with YouTube, but we'll deal with that later at a later date. But hopefully we'll get it all set up in the very near future. We want to thank God for each of you. And I want to pause this right now for a moment, and I want to say thanks to everyone who gave me a gift, a card, or a prayer for my 27th anniversary. I won't name names, but I want to thank everybody from the very depths of my heart, from every crack and crevice of my soul. I thank you for whatever you gave, whatever you did. I thank you for it. And I ask God to continue to bless you and God to keep you, and that whatever you gave, that you will not miss it, that God will add back to your bond whatever you missed, double and fourfold. We thank God for you all today, realizing that we're on the edge of the people coming back from the Thanksgiving Day. We want to thank God for giving us a blessed Thanksgiving. Our family is safe. I understand that your families are safe, and we're just going to continue to give God the praise, the honor, and glory in this time. And we're still asking for your prayers for our government. We're still asking your prayers for our church, our members. We're still asking your prayers that you would just be with us and ask God to bless us in these endeavors and to continue to lead and guide me as I take us further and further in this session. We also want you to know that there was a Florida Memorial Donation Day program that was on. I understand that I sent it out to a lot of folks, and you probably found out, like me, that it wasn't a video, it was audio. So we were able to listen. But hopefully in a few weeks from now, when we get into December for our winter board meeting, we're going to be having our winter board that's normally in St. Augustine. It's going to be virtual. And instead of being 2 days, it's going to be for a whole week, and our board meeting will be on that Sunday. But I I'll send everybody the link as I did again for us to go and visit and be with us in that endeavor. So thank God for each and every one of you. God bless you. And God keep you. Is our prayer. At this time, Deacon Dunlap is coming with our prayer and our scripture and a word.
Good morning, family. The living word is taken from Psalms number 1, the first through the 6th stanza, and it reads, Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord. And in his law does he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore, the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your grace and your mercy. We thank you for waking us up this morning, Father God. We thank you for life, health, and strength. Father God, we thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed to your people. We know that you know the needs of your people. Lord, we thank you for life, health, and strength. We ask that you continue to bless your people. Father God, we be so careful to only praise your name. And these and other blessings we ask in Jesus' name.
Thank God once again. Asking that you go with me today to Psalms number 13. Psalms number 13. We'll be dealing with verses 1, 2, and verse 6. Psalms number 13. We'll be dealing with verses 1, 2, and 6. That's what we'll be dealing with today. From Psalms number 13. Ask that you pray with us and pray for us in this endeavor. I want to tag this text today, how long, O Lord? How long? I also want to put a subtopic on this from a great pulpiteer by the name of Gardner Taylor, Charles Spurgeon, and that is howling change to singing. Howling change to singing. This is a short, individual, lamented psalm. In this psalm, the psalmist expressed concerns with the apparent distance of Jehovah. He asks, how long? 4 times in the first 2 verses of his lament to Jehovah God in what seems his absence, which allows his enemies to succeed, and his position with God. It seems like God is not answering him. It seems like everybody is prospering and he's not going anywhere. But then this psalm closes out of the lament with a song and a praise. And my brothers and sisters, I need us to always want to give God the praise. When we look at this, we understand that God is right there with us. No matter what we are going through. In verses 5 and 6, the psalmist talks about the steadfast love of God. And then when I looked at it a little closer, I understand the word is chesed, C-H-E-S-E-D. And what it means is steadfast love, faithfulness, loyalty, mercy, and kindness. In this text, the way this word is used is we understand that God's love is right there with us no matter where we are. We understand that God is faithful to always keep his word. We also understand that God is loyal to us and God has mercy untold for each and every one of us. And then he's also kind. My brothers and sisters, when we look at this, the psalmist records the cry of an affection because of his afflictedness. Therefore, he harmonized with several preceding songs. Here, David rests confidently on the loyal love of the Lord, even though he finds no intimate deliverance from the oppression of his adversary. What are you saying to me, Reverend? What I'm saying to you, when it looked like you're really not prospering, you are prospering. Because God is working it out for our good. The old folk would say, he may not come when you want him, but I declare he's right on time. My brothers and sisters, when I look at this text, I have to pause for a moment and ask the question, how many of us have had a time in our lives or in a situation in our life? There are many of us that are sitting in here with me. There are many that's listening to me, have gone through situations where you felt like God was not even there. Where it felt like you was out there all by yourself. But I pause today to say to you, please mark down Psalms number 13. Make this one of your favorite songs, that when you're going through difficult times in your life, when you're calling on God and it looks like God is not answering, it looks like God is not hearing you, I want you to read Psalms number 13. I want you to meditate on it. Let it get way down on the inside of you. Because guess what, my brothers and sisters, there will come a day when you'll be asking God to do something and you feel like God has walked off and left you. It feels like God has turned his back on you. But I want you to know that guess what? God may have turned his back, but you're still in his heart. You're still on his mind. Because he said, even if thy mother and father forsake thee, then the Lord, the righteous God, will pick you up. Why? Because he said, I have engraved you in the palm of my hand. I've got an image of you that every time I look at my hand, my nail-scarred hand, I see a picture of your face. Yes. And I know somebody out there saying, Reverend, how is it that God can see my picture when he got so many pictures? What I like about God, he knows each and every one of us individually. Yes. He knows our thought. He knows our up. He knows our down. He knows everything about us. And my brothers and sisters, when we look at this Psalm number 13, notice what it says. As we look at it, first we see in the first two verses a man complaining. And how many times have you not complained? All right. My brothers and sisters, we got to go a little bit further on, because we will find out that we can start out with a complaint, but at the end of the day, we can wind up with a song. Amen. And a praise. Amen. My brothers and sisters, we've got to be ready to do that. What are we to connect with or link between us and our complaining? A man singing. How did the complaining man get up to connect the path and begin to sing before going any further. My brothers and sisters, one of the first things we got to do is make sure we talk to the Lord.
That's right.
And I told you that this subtopic was howling.
Yeah.
Howling or moaning or groaning. How many of you have been in pain and in misery? You couldn't say nothing, but all you could do was just sit there and moan. Sometimes you couldn't open your mouth. Sometimes you couldn't open your eye, but you could just moan and you could just groan. And this is what's going on with David. David is moaning and groaning because he's going through a time when David has to say these words. And look what it says again in verses 1 and 2. How long wilt thou forget me, O Lord? Forever? How long wilt thou hide thy face from me? How long shall I take counsel in my soul, having sorrow in my heart daily? My brothers and sisters, I see David going through a time when it looks like ain't nothing going his way. I see a time in David's life when it looked like every time he stepped forward, he made 3 steps back. It looks like David is going through a time in his life when he needs God to draw near to him. And I hear him say, if you draw near to God, God will draw near to you. But David has said, I've already drawn near to God, but it looks like God is not drawing near to me. I got anybody out there that said, I called on the Lord and I did not get an answer? I seek the Lord faith and I did not hear anything from the Lord. That's the point where David is. And David begins to moan. David begins to cry out. Look what David said. David said, how long will thou forget me? My brothers and sisters, we've got to ask that question. How long? How long, Lord? I understand that weeping may endure for a night. And joy is coming in the morning. But Lord, it looks like I'm still stuck in the night. It seems like I'm still crying. It seems like I'm not getting anywhere. It seems like my enemy is prospering and having havoc on me. When I discovered, my brothers and sisters, when David pens these words, how long? God has not forgotten to be gracious unto us. My brothers and sisters, how is it that God can forgive us? There's no way God can forget us.
That's right.
All right.
I don't care what our present trouble is or what the reality of our life is. God cannot forget us.
That's right. Amen.
God is not going to leave us. He says, I'll never leave you and I'll never forsake you. He said, I'll be with you even to the end of the world. David realized in Psalm, he said, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. David said, thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou prepared a table before me in the presence of my enemy. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the day of my life. So how can we fix our mouths to say, how long? Y'all, when I looked at this, it really captivated my attention. Because David does this. He says, how long wilt thou forget me? And then he pauses with a comma, and I like when commas show up.
Oh, yeah.
I love when a comma shows up
Go ahead.
in a stanza because it tells me to pause. And not only that, but every now and then,
All right.
it makes me check myself.
Uh-huh.
And I need to tell you that if you're going to know Jesus, one of the first things you got to know is yourself.
Uh-huh.
And when you know yourself, you will know Jesus. Why? Because we are in his image.
Uh-huh.
We are in his likeness.
Uh-huh.
And my brothers and sisters, I don't know about you, but maybe some of y'all have not done this lately. But I tell you, me, myself, and I, we have a lot of conversation. We have a lot of conversation. My brothers and sisters, and what I've discovered is you can't have a side of you that's going to always agree with you.
That's right.
You got to have a side of you that will always call you into question.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I like the comma when it shows up.
Uh-huh.
Because the comma says, slow down.
Uh-huh.
Pay attention to what you're saying.
Yeah.
And notice it said, oh, who in the world are you talking to? You need to know who you're talking to. You need to know what you're going through. He says, oh Lord, forever, how long will thou hide thy face from me? My brothers and sisters, I say to you today, you may not be able to see God's face. But I need to tell you that Moses wanted to see God face to face. And God said to him, you cannot see my face, but I want you to get behind the rock. And I'm going to cover your face. And when I get on the other side of you, I'm going to move my hand. And you're going to be able to look at my hinder part.
That's right.
And what I discovered, my brothers and sisters, a lot of us can't stand to look in the face of God. Because when we look in the face of God, we got to examine ourselves. We got to find out if we really are God, if we really trust in God, if we really lean not to our own understanding, in all our ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct our path. David says, how long will you hide your face from me? My brothers and sisters, when we are in deep sorrow, when we're in deep conversation, we will think that God has hid his face from us. But God has not hid his face. It's only your situation is blocking you from actually seeing where God really is. My brethren and my sisters, when I look at verse number 2, it says, how long shall I take counsel in my soul? Got another comment. My brothers and sisters, I say to us, those are times when you ought to be examining yourself. You ought to be looking at what you did to get where you are. Why you're going through what you're going through. And what I've discovered, my brothers and sisters, today, a lot of things nobody did to us, but we did it to ourselves. And that's why sometimes we ought to pause and have a little talk with ourselves. David said, in the counsel of my soul. In other words, I talk to myself.
I do.
I had a conversation with myself. I had a revelation with myself. I had a little talk with myself. There are times I walk the floor at night and I talk to myself. There are times when I first started out the gospel ministry to the Lord and myself all the time.
Yes.
Because I had so many problems. I had so many ups and downs that I had to have some time with the Lord.
Yes.
And what I've discovered is the time with the Lord is time for you to have time with yourself.
Amen.
He says, counsel in my soul,
Yes.
having sorrow in my heart
Yes.
daily.
Yes.
Listen, David says, I done talk to myself.
Over and over.
There you go, over and over again,
I know.
time and time again.
Yes.
And it looks like my sorrow ain't going nowhere. It looks like instead of it diminishing,
Yes.
my sorrow is increasing.
Yes. Yes.
And David is mourning and howling, and David is crying and groaning unto God.
Glory.
And he's doing it from way down in his heart.
Come on now.
I remember when I was a little boy and I was singing in the choir. And then when I got a little older, I was in the church. I joined the male chorus at New Shiloh. And I remember they said to me, Jay, say you got to sing from your belly. You too busy singing from your throat. That's why your notes ain't right. Go get it from your belly. And as I learned to get it out of my belly and let it come across my lips, my tune got better. But guess what? That same principle applies right here.
Yes. Yes.
And what you got to do with your groaning on the inside, you got to get it from way down on the inside
Yes. Yes.
to where you let God hear your moaning and your groaning.
Yes.
What I discovered when I read the book of Revelation, God knows every tear
That's right.
that falls from our eyes.
Yes.
God said he would wipe away all tears
Yes.
from our eyes.
That's right.
I don't know about you, my brothers and sisters, but I say to you today, if you got yourself in a situation, then you need to go in the closet and you need to cry out to the Lord and let the Lord dry the tears from your eyes. David said, in the counsel of my soul, having sorrow in my heart daily. My brothers and sisters, it's okay to go to bed with trouble. But it's another thing to wake up with even more trouble. See, I understand when I go to bed, I hope to see a brighter day tomorrow.
Come on.
But if I wake up tomorrow and my tomorrow is worse than my yesterday, something is going wrong.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
And David is saying, Lord, I've had some long conversations. I look way down on the inside. And my heart is heavy, not one day, but daily.
That's right.
Anybody say, I had to cry?
Amen. Amen.
Look what he says. He says, how long shall my enemies be exalted over me?
Yes. Yes.
You know, we often like to look around and see how everybody else is prospering and say, to the Lord.
Yes.
The priest says, if you're doing that, then by this time next year, whatever you ask for, the Lord will provide. Oh, my brothers and sisters, how many of us are really ready to go down on our knees and moan and groan on the inside and call on the name of God? In the midst of my adversity, I learned that I would lift up my eyes unto the hill. From which cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord. I know that 10,000 snares may tangle my feet, but none of them shall hold me. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, for they will soon be cut off. They will wither as the green grass. I understand that I got to groan on the inside. I understand I got to cry today. I understand that my heart is heavy today. But I tell you, there's joy in the moment. Yes. When I look at this man is pictured
Jesus.
as being saved.
My God. My God.
And I like what he says
What he say? What he say?
here in verse 3.
Yes, go ahead.
Consider
Yes.
and hear me.
Yes.
All right.
Come. O Lord, my God.
Yes.
Look what he says right here.
Come on, light up.
Lighten my eyes,
Yes.
sir.
lest I sleep the sleep of death.
That's right.
He said, Lord, turn on the lights
All right.
so I'll be able to see.
Yes.
Because if you don't turn on the lights, it looks like my enemy is going to overtake
That's
me.
right.
My adversary is going to kill me. And my brothers and sisters, if anybody know about being on the run, it's David.
Yes.
Saul chased David. Absalom chased David. And you know, David found comfort one time
Yes.
where David ran in a hollow log. And the Lord told a spy
Yes.
to get busy and web up the hole so that when they come by, they won't look for David in the hole. Because God has a way of protecting us. And I don't know about y'all. I know some of y'all don't like spiders. But yes, when I read that as a little boy, I began to love spiders. Because every time I got in trouble, I would say, Lord, put a spider on it. Let him go to web it up. Let the Lord hide me. And then I found out as I got a little grown up, as I got a little more mature in the Word of God, I found out that I could go and hide myself in the Word of God. My brothers and sisters, I read the song where David said, hide me in the pavilion of thy will, in the secret of thy tabernacle. The Lord shall hide me. And my brothers and sisters, you got to find a hiding place in the Lord. And God can turn on the lights so that you'll be able to see. David says, so I don't sleep the sleep of death. But then, I got to leave. I've got to jump. My brothers and sisters, after reading all of this, we've got to find a place to where we can have some praise. Look what it says in verse number 5.
Come on here.
I have trusted in thy mercy.
Yes.
My heart shall rejoice in thy salvation.
Yes.
Listen, I don't know about you, but it's something about God
Come on.
that you can always put your trust in.
That's right.
He's a bridge over troubled water. He's a war horse in the time of a storm,
Yes.
in the time of a battle. He's a shelter in the time of a storm.
All right.
Yes, he's my rock in a weary land. He's my sword and my shield and my buckler.
Yes.
Whatever I need, the Lord.
Yes, yes.
I trust in it
Trust it, trust it.
until I die.
Yes.
I'm going to stay on the battlefield.
Come on here.
Even when it looks like I can't make it,
Stay on.
I'm going to hold on
Stay on.
just a little while longer.
Yes.
Because help is on the way.
Mm-hmm.
My heart shall rejoice
Mm.
in my salvation.
Yes.
When I discovered, my brothers and sisters, regardless of how bad it looks, David is getting ready to sing. David is getting ready
Yes.
to give God some praise.
Thank you, Jesus.
My brothers and sisters, I've been through the storm. I've been through the rain. I've seen sin breakers dashing, trying to conquer my soul. But the Lord told me still to fight on.
Right on.
Because the Lord's salvation has set me free.
Yes. Thank you, Jesus.
When it looked like I wasn't free, when it looked like my enemy was going to take me, guess what? The Lord has set me free.
Yes, he did.
And I need us to know today that salvation has come to your house.
Thank you, Lord God.
I got to pause. This wasn't in my study last night, but the Lord just dropped it in my spirit.
There.
You remember a man by the name of Zacchaeus,
Uh-huh.
who climbed up in a sycamore tree.
That's right.
Jesus was going by, and Jesus told him, Zacchaeus,
Uh-huh.
call him by name, make haste and come down.
That's right.
But today, I must abide at thy house.
That's right.
And what I want you to know, Zacchaeus, is salvation is coming to you
Yes.
and everybody in your house.
That's right.
And I don't know about y'all today,
Hallelujah.
but I want to tell you that salvation
Coming.
has come to my house.
Yes.
And because it come to my house, it's going to go to your house and every house that's connected to you. And for that, I give God praise.
Thank you, Jesus.
Salvation means I'm free. And the Bible says, whom God has set free is free indeed.
That's right. Amen.
Then David pens verse number 6. I will sing unto the Lord.
Yes.
All right.
Because he has dealt bountifully with me.
Uh-huh.
In other words, David says, I need to tell you, God dealt with me
Yes.
while I was going through
Uh-huh.
what I'm going through.
Uh-huh.
God is dealing with each and every one of us.
That's right. Amen.
As we're going through this pandemic,
Yes.
God is dealing with us.
Yes.
God is showing us that we can still have worship.
That's right.
We can still have praise.
Yes.
We can still give God the glory.
That's right.
Because God is
Right.
dealing with each and every
That's right.
one of us on
Praise Him.
an individual basis.
Yes.
He says, you have dealt bountifully with me. And that means that God has done abundant things on your behalf.
Uh-huh.
I like this because David pens these verses, this verse, and he pens it in a song. And I sure wish I had Kira and D'Angelo here with me because I'll sing a little bit of this today. But that's just how I felt.
Talk it out. Talk it out. Come
And
on.
I was up last night till 2 a.m. in the morning. God was putting a tune on the inside.
Talk it out.
He says, I feel like singing all the time.
Uh-huh.
My tears are wiped away. For Jesus is a friend of mine. I will serve him every day. Then I kept on pondering in my mind Because I could hear David still singing this song. And then I heard in my spirit the chorus, from yield not to temptation. Just ask the Savior to help you. Comfort, strengthen, and keep you.
Yes.
He is willing to aid you. He will carry you through.
Uh-huh.
Ask the Savior to help you. Comfort, strengthen, and keep you. He is here. He will heal you. Oh, he's willing to aid you. Jesus will carry you through.
Yes.
David asked, how long?
How long?
How long?
How long?
How long?
Come on.
How long?
How long?
Oh Lord,
Yes.
I understand it's rough.
Mm.
And there are times when I've said, how long?
Yes.
How long?
How long?
How long? Oh Lord. But at the end, I can say these words. Just ask
Say
the Savior
to him.
to help you. Comfort, strengthen, and keep you. He's willing to aid you.
That's right.
He will carry you through.
That's right. Amen.
God bless you.
Thank you for your word, Lord.
Today.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you for your word.
my brothers and sisters. How long?
How long?
Oh Lord.
Yes.
How long
How long?
am I going to deal with this?
Mm.
How long will things go like they're going? We got to continue to give God praise, honor, and glory.
Yes.
To God be the glory, honor, and praise. I offer to you today to give God the praise, the honor, and the glory.
Mm-hmm.
God is willing to bless you right where you are.
Yes.
God bless you and God keep you is my prayer.
Yes.
I'll see you all on Wednesday night for Bible study. God bless.